Welcome to another episode of State of the Wizards. This is episode 49. I'm your host, Dcan, along with my co-host, Kjose, and we are the voices of the unheard. Kjose, what's good?
What's happening, my brother? As you can see, I'm in a totally different location. Don't mind the kitty shit you see in the background, but we're gonna go ahead and talk some Wiz hoops, talk about the game from last night, amongst other things.
Absolutely, man. It's all good, man. Nobody judging you for your room, man. It's all good.
This is my old room, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. This is not where I live at. But go ahead.
You got that disclaimer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my dude. So tonight we're gonna have some pretty interesting things to talk about. We're gonna discuss the loss versus the Hawks, what to expect in our next game versus the Pistons. And do you feel Kyle Kuzma is holding the team back, or is he being used as a scapegoat while the younger guys underperform in our losses? Lastly, how is Brian Keefe doing in your opinion as a coach so far this season? Coming up next on State of the Wizards. Before we get started, if this is your first time tuning into the channel, thank you guys. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Follow me at Wizards Mafia and follow Kjose at DC Hoopla on the X app. And just a heads up, we'll eventually drop the X app due to some unfortunate political terms and conditions of the app. But we don't want to leave you guys hanging, so we'll stick around for now. But in the meantime, also follow us on the Blue Sky app. You'll find me at Wizards Mafia, and you'll find Kjose's DC Hoopla as Kjose. Also, please follow us at State of the Wiz on Instagram, State of the Wiz on X app, and Blue Sky. All right, Kjose. Let's get started. My first question to you. The Wizards dropped their last game versus the Hawks, 129-117. Dyson Daniels led all scorers with 25 points on 10 for 14 shooting, and another 6 steals game for him. Kuzma shot a whopping 11 for 28 from the field and managed to still score less than Dyson Daniels. What did you think about the Wizards' overall performance?
Wasn't a really good one, I will tell you that. The first quarter we actually played very solid. So we was 9 for 16 from 2-point shots, 6 for 11 from 3. Very good first quarter. We actually was playing like a team. Second quarter, things started kind of going downhill. We was 4 for 19 from 2 points, 1 for 11 from 3. Just terrible basketball. We had to address the elephant in the room. Kyle Kuzma shot diet last night. That was the date of Thanksgiving, what he gave us. 11/28. That's Thanksgiving Day. And to me, man, I have an issue with him shooting 28 shots. I don't know why he was shooting 28 shots, but he shot 28 shots, man. He was 18% from the 3-point range. 18%, 2 for 11. He's not using his teammates. Clearly, he knows that he's going to get traded, and the body language is showing. He even said something in the post game, far as like in so many words. It's almost like I'm just here to do my job. I'm not really worried about nothing, which is going to lead to another, something else pertaining to that later in the show. But just not a good game. Not good at all. It was terrible to watch.
So let me ask you, was this all on Kuzma, or do you think it was just more of the fact that, there was no real chemistry on the court, which Kuzma contributed to, as to why we didn't really come away with this victory?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. Some of it is on Kuzma, and of course there is no chemistry because it's going to lead back to Kuzma. Before he came back, the team was actually playing much better. They were losing games, but they were more competitive. Now it's flat, it's boring. It's just there's really no chemistry whatsoever. The young guys that you could kind of tell like they don't really want to step on anybody's toes. I mean, Bilal, he had 11 attempts yesterday, shot attempts, but he only had 4 points. He had I'm sorry, not 4 points. I'm sorry, he went 4 for 11, but he had 9 and 9. That's not the Bilal that we were seeing 2 weeks ago, especially in 38 minutes. Bub Carrington, he had 7, 5, and 9, but he only had 8 shot attempts. So what's going on right now? What's the problem? Where's the disconnect? And the disconnect, you're going to have to point to Bulletproof. I mean, I know people want to make excuses for him, but something has to be done. Like this cannot continue to happen. These young guys are the future. Use your teammates. If you don't, let me say, if you're not going to use your teammates, sit your ass down. Don't play. Because you really ain't playing any damn way. So I can't make any excuses for him, but it's just no chemistry. And the young guys, they literally just taking a step back. Yes, I get it. It is a rebuild, but these young guys are supposed to be developing. And right now he's stepping on their development.
So you and I will dive deeper into this issue that we feel the team has with Kyle Kuzma sharing the court with them. We'll dive deeper into that later on in the show. I do want to touch on the fact that there were some bright spots outside of Kuz. Sarr had a 20-point game. Mm-hmm. He shot 7 for 13 from the field. He actually shot well from 3 yesterday. He was 3 for 4. Played 30 minutes. He was a plus 10.
Yep.
So, what gets lost in, of course, some of these losses, I even told you this, is that, we lose these games, but it tends to overshadow the performances of some of the bright performances of some of the young guys. And I definitely wanted to point that out, that even though we feel that there's other underlying major issues for why we're losing these games, there are some bright spots with some of the younger players.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Sarr played a very, very great game last night. The potential is there. I know a lot of people have concerns with him. I would like to see him start averaging 10 rebounds a game because he has the tools to do it. One thing I did notice last night was he was doing his job for his defense, blocking the shots. But then, of course, he wasn't getting any help, from his teammates. So that's another reason why I said I would like for us to get a big man to kind of mask those things. Shout out to Corey Kispert. He played very well last night, too. In 32 minutes, he had 16 points, shot 6 for 13 from the field, 4 for 8. That's the Corey Kispert that we like to see. I do know that Drew Gooden pointed out that he struggles at home, but he plays better on the road. So I would like to see him transition that to when he plays at home, but definitely going to give him kudos for playing well last night. Keyshawn George had 13. He's improving. I mean, he shot 4 for 12, but again, that's part of him growing. So I did like that from him as well. And even jersey number 1, I mean, he didn't score anything, but he did do a pretty good job for his defense. So I'll give him a little bit of
transition. I think he had a block shot.
Yeah. So I'll give him, I know I give him a hard time, but I'll give him kudos for that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kispert showed up last night, 4 for 8 from 3, 6 for 13 from the field. Keyshawn George still struggling from 3. I'm not really too concerned about it because he's not shying away from taking those 3-point shots. Just going back to Bilal, yes, while it's obvious and it's evident that the return of someone else may have been taking some of the confidence and the steam away from his game. I do feel like, with 38 minutes, he did do some of the other little things well, like 6 assists is important, 9 rebounds. Remember, you and I kind of talked about that in one of our previous episodes where, Sarr is going to need that rebounding help.
Yeah.
So Bilal kind of picked it up there, even though he's not scoring the basketball. So I'm not really too upset with the fact that he's not shooting the ball as much, and maybe he's not hitting his averages just yet because he's kind of doing all the other little things.
Right.
There's obviously some cause for concern when you went from averaging 18 points to now you're hovering around 14 to 15 points. So that drop off is obvious.
Right.
And then the last thing I wanted to point out, obviously, is Bub. Bub had 7, 5, and 9 in 37 minutes. So these guys are getting heavy minutes, but the production overall isn't really where it needs to be, and we obviously know why. It goes back to opportunities and attempts, being kind of delegated in other avenues, and we're not going to shy away from this conversation because we're going to harp on this throughout the episode because we're trying to make a point. Every time we make these types of points, we always get pushback. We always get people coming at us in different ways. I'm just doing it in a different way now where you guys can't just simply say, you know what, you guys are wrong about this because you're being biased. Like, no, we're trying to point out some of the obvious things, right? So when you're talking about young guys getting 37, 38 minutes, and then one of your vet guys getting 10 minutes lesser, but somehow he's shooting 15 more shots than the younger guys, that has to be a highlight. You understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely. One more shout out too. I mean, Jordan Poole, he had played 29 minutes, scored 22, 5 boards, 5 assists, 2 steals, 6 for 14 from the field, 4 for 9 from downtown. I know he hit a deep 3 from fucking College Park, Georgia. But he's been playing well, and he's been a professional this season. So I will give him kudos to that. Oh, yeah, Sarr had 4 steals, my dudes. 4 steals.
Yeah.
Can't look past that. So
the fact that he was a plus 10, that says something. Because when he was in the game, yes, absolutely, man. Because when he was in the game, he was an impact player.
Exactly.
We went on 8, 9-0 runs with him in the game. So I think that needs to be something that, is highlighted.
Yep. Definitely needs to be highlighted. Actually, he was the only Wizard player that was a positive. So, yes, shout out to him. And again, a lot of critics of him during the offseason, you guys have to apologize. He's only going to get better. The potential is there. All he needs is just an offseason where he works out, bulks up a little bit, just get his jumping, as far as getting the rebounds, just kind of get the timing right. And he's going to be perfectly fine because, I'm looking at these numbers that he had, 27, 2, and 4. And I know the 4 is the steals. But when I'm looking at those numbers, and I'm going to say this very, very lightly because I wanted people to understand this when I say this. I'm not saying that he is. But I see just looking at that, that's like KG light. I had to keep putting that light in there because I know people they're gonna take it and then take it somewhere else.
Taking it around with it.
Just taking it around with
it. KG. Oh my God, my man said he's KG.
I don't see that. I'm like KG triple light. That's what I see when I'm looking at these numbers. The potential is there for him. So, I'm not concerned. I think an off-season workout, he'll be perfectly fine.
All right. Another thing I wanted to highlight, speaking of young guys for the Hawks, Dyson Daniels had a big game. He had 25 points for them on 10 for 14 shooting. He was 2 for 5 from 3, 6 steals again.
Like an all-star. He was looking like an all-star last night.
Yeah, and that's shout out to Dyson Daniels, man. I know I was one of the heavy critics of his game as well. So I'll definitely acknowledge when I'm wrong about a player. It's still early, but this is his second team already. But I think he found a home with Atlanta. They're giving him the opportunities. Once again, going back to that O word, opportunities. Trae Young isn't holding him back by taking 28 shots. You got some of the other young players as well that kind of mesh with that team.
Yeah.
Reece Shea is still getting up his shots, even though he's not having a particular great year as a number one overall player. At least you can't say that he's not getting his shot attempts up and he's not at least trying to contribute, in some fashion for that team. So, again, I just wanted to highlight some of those points before we go into our further conversation a little bit later.
Right.
So moving on, Kjose, what are your expectations versus the Pistons tomorrow night at home?
My expectation is that we come out, play hard, play as a team. That's a 6 o'clock start time, by the way. The Pistons are 6-8, so they're a team that's trying to go to the playoffs. Try not to get blown out. It's either going to be we either have to have a good second quarter or a great third quarter, because it's usually that second or that third quarter where we usually have our collapse. We look good in that first quarter, and then one of those 2 quarters we have a collapse. So we can't have those mental mistakes where we have in these collapse. Again, this is the Pistons. They're playing for something. I know we're not trying to win a lot of games, but at the end of the day, these guys are professionals. Still go out there and play hard. Try to have fun. That's what I'm expecting tomorrow. Try to just have fun.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of point out some things as well. The Pistons are absolutely trying to win games this year. I think they're kind of tired of, regardless of where they fall in these drafts and who's going to be in the next year's draft. I think they're just tired of just being one of those bottom feeding teams who is constantly talked about in a negative light. Plus, they have a new coach over there. So they're really trying to turn it around this season. I don't think we really counted them as one of the teams, though, that would turn it around. I don't think we felt like they would be middling this year. I think we kind of felt that they would still be at the bottom. But good for them. I mean, if that, they'll eventually turn it around. And, when they do and they finally get over that hump as an organization, good for them, because they've been at the bottom for a long time.
Yeah.
But to your point, yes, 6-8. They have a losing record away. They're 22nd in offensive rating this season. They're a much better defensive team. They're 13th overall as a team. We're 27th offensive rating as a team. We're 30th. We're dead last in the league in defense. And, that's just not a good look. Obviously we're giving up almost damn near 120 points per game against our teams. Going into this game, you got Cade Cunningham at about 24 a game. Jalen Duren on the boards at almost 10. Cade leads that team at 8.5 assists a game. I just think that, I did see as well that Malcolm Brogdon wasn't listed on the injury report for tomorrow night's game.
Yeah, he should be available to play. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. Which, if he does play, then what does that mean? That means one of the young guys' minutes is going to probably be cut. That will probably most likely will have an impact on Bub of how many minutes he's getting. Because let's be for real, if Malcolm Brogdon is available to play, then that means we're trying to showcase him to trade him. That's what it is. So we know we're showcasing Kuz. We're getting ready to start showcasing Brogdon, and we've already been showcasing Valanciunas. The plan also was to start showcasing Sadiq Bey, but he probably won't play this season, or if he does play, it'll be close to the end of the season. But I think with Brogdon, he's going to come off the bench, but it is going to have an impact on Bub's minutes.
Yeah, and I agree. I think that no matter what veteran plays, they're going to have an impact on the young guys' minutes. And that's kind of leading into our next discussion, because I think that this is vitally important. Kjose, Do you feel Kyle Kuzma is holding the young team back, or is he being used as a scapegoat while the younger guys underperforming these losses?
I think he's definitely stunning the growth of some of the young guys. Again, Bilal is one guy who we're noticing his game has taken a slight dip. I don't want to necessarily say that he's being used as a scapegoat, because at the end of the day, we know what it is. We're trying to send him away. Again, as I said, and you and I both have said, the only way you're going to be able to get rid of this guy is you're going to have to package him. So he's going to be included in the package.
Let me play double. I don't mean to cut you. Let me play devil's advocate. I'll play devil's advocate, but you know where I stand with this whole Kuzma stunting the young guys' growth. But let me play devil's advocate. So Bilal, for example, and this is let's say the alternate argument is, well, Bilal hasn't been playing well. All right, so let's just go through a list of games that Bilal has played, and based off of what his early performances were. Remember, you and I gave Bilal the standing ovation on DJ's podcast for being the player of the month for the month of October. We turn over a new month in November, and the first game in November, which was against the Heat, he scored 22. He had 22 points, 2 assists, and 8 rebounds. The next game against Golden State, he had 9 points, 2 assists, 4 rebounds on 3 of 11 shooting. All right. Against the Grizzlies, he had 10 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on 4 for 9 shooting. Just so we can add context, Kuzma did not play these games. And then the one in Orlando, I think he had a 20-point game. Yes, he had a 20-point game, 6 assists, 6 rebounds. He shot 9 for 11 that game. Played outstanding. Kuzma did not play that game. And then we turned to the Rockets on the 11th. Bilal had 11 points on 5 for 9. Kuzma did play that game. He shot 18 times that game. Spurs,
Bilal, 6 points.
6, right. Kuzma in that game only shot 9 times. But you get where I'm going with this. So for the people who clearly think that Kuzma isn't the issue, this is one of their arguments that they're going to make. Well, Bilal was playing pretty bad before Kuzma came back, or, Bilal only had a 120-point game, before Kuzma came back in the month of November. What would you have to say to those folks who are trying to make the alternative argument that it's not just Kyle Kuzma that you can blame this on?
Does Bilal have to be a little bit more assertive? Yes, he does have to be a little bit more assertive. So I'm not going to sit there and say no, that they don't have a point with that. However, if you just look at his shot diet before Bulletproof came back to when he came back, it's pretty much right there in front of you. Against the San Antonio Spurs, he shot the ball 5 times. Bulletproof, he shot 9 times. But the fact is, Bilal only took 5 shot attempts. Why is that? Why is he taking 5 shot attempts? He should be taking more than that. So when I'm looking at the games, I could tell that he's a little bit timid. He doesn't really want to step on anybody's toes. He's doing a little bit of thinking. Maybe, was he told, hey, look, we're trying to showcase this guy. Maybe you don't want to be too aggressive because we're trying to showcase him. I don't know. I mean, he took 9 shots against the Houston Rockets, and Bulletproof took 18 shots to score 18 points. So I'm looking at it. It's definitely the shot diet. It kind of tells it for you, because even in that game, Keyshawn George only took 9 shots. Bub took 6 shots. I mean, it's pretty obvious. The younger guys' growth is being stunted, and it's because we're trying to sell this player to the rest of the league, and the rest of the league is already telling us we don't value him the way you guys do, and we're not going to give you what you guys want. And again, it's going to lead to something else where I felt like it's a missed opportunity when it came to moving him, because we've had 2 missed opportunities to move in this guy. One of them wasn't, this current organization's fault. I mean, we'll say front office fault, but the second time around, it was their fault.
And you're obviously talking about Winger refusing to move.
Yeah.
Kuzma, is that what you're referring to?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I thought about it earlier today. Why did we go to him and consult with him? And we didn't do that with Denny. We didn't consult with Denny, but we consulted with Bulletproof.
Excellent point.
I'm not mad that we moved Denny, but the fact of the matter is we made a business decision. A deal was in place. We didn't consult with Denny, but we consulted with Bulletproof, asked them, hey, do you want to go here? Of course, he says no. That's, to me, man, I just didn't agree with that. I still don't agree with that because we should not have done that. He doesn't have a no trade clause. So why did we do that? Then I said that I'm going to talk about the other time prior that wasn't this his front office fault. It was when Tommy was here. Rumor was that we could have got draft capital for him, but he wanted win now pieces for him instead. So he ended up being here. And then the league tells you, well, we don't value him at $30 million. So he got the contract he has. But to me, the fact that if it is true that he came into training camp out of shape, and if we're seeing him out there on the court, and it seems like, he got the green light. He pulls up threes whenever the hell he feel like it. He's trying to bully into the paint. A few times he turned the damn ball over. I mean, it looks like the Bradley Beal turnovers that I'm seeing from him. It's like this guy literally doesn't want to be here. How are we going to be able to move this guy? And he's stunning the young guy's growth. So I can't defend him. And I'm not going to defend him. And now what you're also seeing is Wizards Twitter saying, oh, well, man, maybe Dinwiddie was right after all. Yes, he is right. We was trying to tell you guys that.
I think that's kind of where I'm at. That's why I'm exhausted with the conversation, to be quite frank with you. You and I have been discussing this now going on 3 seasons. I'm not about to go back and revisit a conversation about his involvement on the team, his I guess his relationship with certain teammates on the team. We're not about to go back and revisit a conversation that we felt was an issue 3 seasons prior to even this front office taking over. But I think the issue that I'm seeing strictly with him this season is that he just was not prepared to play this season for a young rebuilding squad. Right. I didn't go into depth on that. I just simply, said to DJ on his Chocolate City Hoops podcast was that, I didn't have high expectations of Kuzma to begin with. Right. And this is why I took the attitude that I've always taken. It's no knock on Kuzma. It's not like I don't have a personal issue with Kuzma. I think the guy's a great guy. He has not given me any reason to think otherwise. But at the end of the day, like you said, business is business. Did we resign Kuz on a team-friendly deal? Absolutely. Was it great for Kuzma to do that? Absolutely. Are we talking about Kuzma signing for less money as a detriment to the team? No, we're not. But what we are saying is that if you were invested, if this was something that you wanted to do, and this was your investment, your attitude going into the season would be much different than what's being displayed on the court. And I think that's a perfectly good argument to make. I don't see that being too critical or too harsh. I think he would even say himself, he's underperforming. And maybe, just maybe, this is why you're seeing the product that you're seeing out of him this season. Look, the dude is shooting a low 28% from 3 this season. All right. It's a low 28%.
Right.
On a very high volume amount of 3 points. He's taking 7 threes a game. So it's not like a 28% or 27% 3-point off of 3 attempts. He's shooting a whopping 7.2 3-point attempts a game, and those shots are just not falling. So he's stressing himself and he's stressing the team to get his game going. And at the same time, we have young guys who are getting their games going. But for the sake of Kuz, those young guys who had their games going, they have to now defer to him so he can get his numbers up or so he can get his shot percentages up. That is what we're talking about when we say that it's impacting the rest of the team and it's impacting the rest of the players.
Yeah, I mean his numbers are definitely down this season. He shot his highest last season from the field, which is at 46.3%. To your point, he's shooting 36.4 this season.
That's what I'm saying.
He's averaging 17.2 points. I mean that's similar to what he was averaging when he came here 3 seasons ago.
All his numbers are down.
So all his numbers are down, and it's pretty obvious when you're looking at it. And his shot attempts, it's just, to me, here's the thing, man. Since he's been a Wizard, okay, his first season as a Wizard, his shot attempts was 14.2. The next season, 17.8. The next one, 18.8. He's back at 17.8. He's shooting entirely too damn much. Too many shot attempts. I get it the last 2 seasons because you didn't have Bill here, his job, and you said this on the podcast as well on Chocolate City Hoops, that he was supposed to have been the next man up to kind of step up and be that leader. But you got to lead by example. And when you're out there lollygagging and just say, well, I'm going to just do whatever I want. We're trying to change the culture, and we're trying to create good habits. Those are bad habits. Now, we was getting on Poole for his bad habits last season.
Hold on. Say that one more time for the listeners and for the viewers. What did you just say?
We're trying to create good habits, not bad habits. Last season, we were getting on Poole for that, for the bad habits.
Exactly.
This season, he's not doing it. He has his moments, but he's not doing it as much. But now you got bulletproof out here with these. And again, this is a veteran with these bad habits. You expect bad habits from the young guys.
Yeah, I was gonna make one more point because keep your thought. I don't mean to cut you, but my other point to that, Kjose, is that we complained about this when Bradley Beal was here. Remember when Dinwiddie was on the team? You and I said what? We said that we were trying to do what? We were trying to develop what?
Good habits.
Exactly. And then what was Bill and Kuzma bringing to the table?
Bad habits.
Thank you. So when we made that point, then we got pushback. Right. Now those same people who gave us pushback for it are making the same arguments. And I want to keep this in context because that's exactly what the arguments were then, and that's exactly what the arguments are now. So certain habits, certain behaviors, certain culture, it doesn't change. You see how we switched the chairs out and we still got the same problems? Okay.
Yeah. So
need I say more?
What else? I mean, what else can you say? Like early today, I had talked to a gentleman. I don't remember his name. He's a former military vet, but he plays basketball. He plays basketball throughout his whole life. And we was talking about it. And he said, man, when I played, if I had a teammate that was not giving their all, he said, I'll tell the coach, hey, he wants to sit down. He said, because I don't need you on my team. He said, if I know that you out there bullshitting, this is what he said. You out there bullshitting? He said, I won't pass you the ball. My point to all of that is this is a guy who loves basketball. You love basketball. I love basketball. You can look at it. He's an eye test guy. So we're sitting there and I'm the type that I'm going to observe how to weigh the body language, everything. And what I'm seeing from him, from Bulletproof, I'm not liking the body language. And you could easily tell that he just doesn't want to be here. But the bad habits is an issue. I had a problem when he was up there going back and forth with Dinwiddie. Those were bad habits. People were saying, man, Dinwiddie, he's a prick and he's this, that, and the third. Well, now everybody's sitting there saying, oh, well, maybe he wasn't the issue. No, he wasn't the issue. You're starting to see these bad habits, man. And again, we got young guys and we're in a rebuild and I asked for this. Yes, I want this rebuild, but I want the veterans to be the veterans and show these guys what it is to be a professional basketball player. Be professional. You got to lead by example.
Just so the listener knows exactly what you're referring to, because I think it could also be construed or misconstrued that we're just simply saying that Kuzma needs to get out of here. Like, yes, we've been there too. But what we're saying is while you're here, okay, there's nothing wrong with you averaging 17. Just don't do it on 36% shooting. Don't do it taking a league best 7 3-point attempts a game on 28% shooting from the 3-point line. Like, there's ways that you can go about doing this without showing the young guys that this is just a bad display of basketball. Like, we want guys to play really well, right? We don't want guys to go out there and do exactly the same thing Kyle Kuzma's doing. As one of the leaders on the team, as a vet, you're the vet. How is it that you're going out there? Yes, you're struggling. It's clear. All right, it's clear you're struggling. Right? You're playing a league low. I think he's at 28 minutes. I think that may be a career low for him. I'm not quite sure. Or maybe he hasn't played that many. I think he's played at least over 30. I could be wrong there. I'm not really checking anything right now. But
he's played 28 minutes before when he was with the Lakers.
But that's my point. He hasn't played 28 minutes since he's arrived in Washington.
Since he arrived, this is his lowest since he's been here.
Okay, that's okay. So that's just contributing to my point, is that everything's down for this guy. So the world may be miserable right now for him. He may feel like there's a lot of people that turn their backs on him. A lot of people that may have been supporters that have turned their backs. Here's what I'd have to say if Kyle Kuzma's listening. Just be who the guy that you were supposed to be for this team when you re-signed that contract. That's the leader. That's the vet. That's the guy who is supposed to show these young guys how to be a professional, how to do things. But you can't just do it off the court. You got to do it on the court too. I immediately kind of pointed to the fact that, he's not coming in as stylish anymore this season. You notice that? I think he kind of made a point that, that was one of the things that he really wasn't focused on. So he's coming into the arena with like a wife beater on or a hoodie, or, he's not coming in as stylish anymore. That's cool. But that's not the lead by example that I care about. The lead by example that I care about is shooting efficiency, is, rallying the young guys up, getting in the young guys' ear, telling them when to tell them to take good shots, when to tell them that's a bad shot, right? But right now you're out there playing pickup basketball, bro. Like you just out there, hey, okay, I got the ball, I'm shooting. And I don't give a damn who's going to say what. Like it's clear to me that there's a level of I don't give a fuck out there. Like there's a level of IDG AF.
Yeah.
And because you have that level of attitude, now I have to go and speak about it. Now Kjose has to speak about it. Now the team has to feel that. That's something that we don't really want to talk about, or we don't really want to discuss, because we're in a rebuild. We know this is a bad year, but let's not make it worse. So again, if Kuzma's listening, again, not personal. All we're saying is just do your job. Just do what a professional is supposed to do. Lead by example. And then if you want out of here, we'll get you out of here accordingly. That's where I'm at. That's my message.
Okay. One last thing pertaining to this topic, and we'll move on. I want to read his exact quote from last night's game. His exact quotes were, "I had good rhythm today. Just missed a couple of layups. Make a couple of layups and you're at 50%. Then nobody talks about it. It doesn't really matter, What do you have to say about those comments, man?
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. So what matters is you hitting your 50%, but it's the fact that nobody's going to talk about it, so it doesn't really matter. That's an issue for me, because it's clear that that you're in a funk. So you want to make sure you get your numbers to a point where what can you really say? I'm shooting 50%. There's nothing you can say when I'm shooting 50%. But when I'm struggling, you want to talk all that nonsense. Why is that the focus? Why is that the focus? That shouldn't be the focus, Kuz. we got guys out here that's going to have career low percentages this year because this is their first year and they're going through. But you are a vet. You a vet acting like this, bro. Come on. Like let's just keep it all the way a stack, man. Like you are a vet talking like this. To me, it's all the way just disappointing, man. You got anything else?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, for me, man, when I saw that and I read that, I just shook my head. We've heard that before. We've heard it in the past with Bill. Now we're hearing it with this guy. So again, we're trying to create good habits, not bad habits.
All right, so let's move on. We're off that soapbox. We'll spend the next 10 or so minutes talking about Brian Keefe. My dude, how is Brian Keefe doing, in your opinion, in his first year as head coach, full-time head coach of the Wizards?
He's doing okay. In the beginning, I was saying how the way he was managing the minutes. I actually was not having a problem with that. I'm going to give him kudos because he is allowing these young guys to make mistakes. We know for a fact that West wouldn't do this. Bilal last night played 38 minutes. Bub 37. Sar 31. George played 20 minutes. I can't complain about the amount of minutes that he's playing the young guys because that's what they need. If I did have to critique him a little bit, I know he's kind of trying to figure out what lineups is going to work. And there are times when what I have noticed is that if Poole is not in the game or even Bulletproof is not in the game, then the lack of scoring is missing. So, he has to figure out a way to manage it to where one of those guys is is in the lineup. I mean, if you're going to go with Bub, Kispert, Sar, or not, let me take Sar out, but let's say Valanciunas, maybe you have somebody in there like jersey number 1 playing, you got to have somebody out there that's going to be able to score to compensate for that because you kind of wonder, where's the scoring going to come from? So that's something that I'm hoping that as the season progresses, that he will find the perfect lineup, the 2 lineups that can really work when you're taking one of those guys out. But he's doing a decent job as far as minutes management. Managing the minutes, he's doing a good job of that for the young guys. I know people are going to be like, well, at least one play. Hey, man, he's a terrible coach. He's nothing but Wes Unseld Jr. He's not the coach for when we're actually going to compete. Let's call it what it is. He's a stopgap coach. His job is just to develop these young guys. That's it.
Yeah. Once again, I can't disagree. I think that he was set on one agenda this year and one agenda only: make the young guys better, improve the development of the young players, and some of the other young players that we retain, such as Corey Kispert. Make sure these guys stay afloat. Keep their value where they are. And then of course other vets, such as Jordan Poole, Jonas Valanciunas, for example. Those guys will get their minutes and their playing time and their scoring where they may. Like there's no real strain, no real stress on productivity. I think the thing is that while we make these arguments for other players and we're kind of holding Kuz to a different standard, I think the understanding from Keefe is that, hey, everyone, as long as everyone else is doing what they're supposed to do, I'm good with that. It's the young guys that's the focus, right? So when the vets aren't doing what they're supposed to do, it makes it harder for everybody. See, Jordan Poole's doing what he's supposed to do. Jonas Valanciunas is doing what he's supposed to do. Can we agree on that?
Yeah.
Right. So even when other guys get in the game, Marvin Bagley the third, when he comes in, he's doing what he's supposed to do. I don't think we're asking the vets at all to just, do more. I think we're just saying, go out there and play your game. We're not stressing. Here's the thing. So you see Bilal's minutes, 35 minutes a game. absolutely wonderful. Bub at 30 as a rookie. Keyshawn at 28 as a rookie. Alex Sarr at 26 as a rookie. This is what you want to see. You want to see these guys get the playing time. You want to see these guys get the burn. Without a question, this is what it's about for Brian Keefe. I think what I'm more so looking at, and he gets an A in that regard because to me, he's sticking to the task at hand. Hey, you guys want to showcase, you guys want to display, you guys want to improve, you guys want to develop. This is what it's going to take. Minutes on the floor. He gets an A. He gets an A from me when it comes down to that. But here's where I gotta. With that said, we look at the team ranks, right? We look at obviously everything else that comes with playing some of the younger guys, getting guys, putting guys in position to be successful. We're dead last defensively. We are 29th in rebounding. We're shooting 28th in the league. Or actually, no, we're not that bad as far as field goal percentage, but we are bad. We're 24th in the league, but we're not worst. Points, dead last in the league in points. So we're not scoring enough, and we're giving up too many. We give up the most as a team, and we're worst at scoring the ball. So there's, I guess my thing is as a coach, when you're in a developmental year, you still have to find an even balance, and you still have to find coaching strategies that are going to put some of these players in the right position to make us better than we were a game ago. You don't want to be so bad where you're saying, well, shit, everybody's bad. Go out there and just play however you want to play. That's not what I'm looking for either. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, again, let me just finish this point up. I say all that to say, while I give him credit for, playing the young guys, giving them the opportunities, I also feel like he gets kind of like a D plus or even a D minus for not making the adjustments as a coach, because I think there's ways that we, game by game, we can see, okay, well, Bub's better in this department. Sarr's better in this department. Bilal's better in this department. We're seeing this. We're seeing the improvement. Maybe it's going to take a little bit more time, obviously, than 11, 12 games, but that's kind of what I'm referring to.
Right. So let me ask you this to stay with Brian Keefe. What do you think he would have? How do you think he's coaching Alexander Sarr? Do you think he's coaching him well? Do you think that he could possibly coach him up a little bit more? Is there any type of adjustments you would like to see him make when it comes down to Alexander Sarr? I singled him out for a reason.
I think he's doing an okay job coaching him. I think, he could tell him, at this point, what's going to really make him successful. I think, we need an identity for Alex Sarr. I think, right now there's a lot of freelancing. Me, I'm harping on Sarr getting in that paint. He shoots a much higher percentage in the paint, around the paint, on the block, whatever, than he does outside. But I don't know if Brian Keefe cares about that. I don't know if that's something that he's actually focusing on right now. You like the fact that he brings the ball up the court. I don't know if Brian Keefe is saying, no, don't do that, Sarr. Or if he's saying, no, go ahead and push it. I don't know where his limitations are as a coach.
Okay. That's fair. And I know what because I saw you tweet when you said that this is the reason why I don't like Sarr bringing the ball up the court. Like there are times he brings the ball up the court, and once he gets on the when he passes the middle, he'll hand it off to the point guard to go ahead and create a play. So what I would like to see Keefe do is figure out a way to get Sarr engaged and involved early. And the best bet would be to do some lob passes, make him a lob threat. I think at one point I want to say it was Bub had the ball in his hands and Sarr threw it up, his hands up, signaling him throw it up, but I don't think Bub saw that. So with Sarr, we should definitely make him be a lob threat. Get him going early, because I know that will create those paint points. 2 times I've seen him do the fadeaway shot. He hasn't done it enough, but I've seen him make that fadeaway shot. I would love to see more of that. But again, this is year 1. So I guess just trying to figure out what his strengths are and what his weaknesses are. We've already talked about what his weaknesses are. Now we're talking about what his strengths could possibly be. Make him be a lob threat. If he has a mismatch, he should take advantage of it in the paint, hit that fadeaway. I definitely think if he's going to be shooting that 3, he definitely needs to work on it to be able to hit it at a much higher clip than he's doing, because he does have the tendency to fall in love with it. But the sky is the limit for this guy. I'm not going to be critical of him like people were this past summer.
And that's fair. I think that's cool. I don't see anything wrong with that, but I don't see anything wrong with being critical either. Yeah, there's just things in any player's game that you're not gonna like. Like, I don't like when Bub defers after he hits two shots in a row. Like, you're hot. Keep going. Keep doing what you do. There's no limitations on your game. Just like, I don't like how careless Jordan Poole is with the basketball. But again, I don't know the limitations of the head coach. I don't know, when he gets tired, when he gets frustrated, because I don't think those things are being communicated. I think right now it's just, hey, we're out there playing ball. We're out there running our sets. We got guys in position to make plays. It's a make or miss league. If they make the shot, great. If they miss it, we're not really tripping off that either. You see, I don't know if even the front office cares, right? I say all that to say maybe the front office don't give a damn either, because they look at it like, they'll figure it out. They'll learn through their mistakes, and maybe what we're worried about, nobody else is. I think that's kind of where I'm getting at, is like, if I say that I don't like something, maybe that's just my problem. Maybe Will Dawkins over there eating popcorn, ain't even paying attention to the TV. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I just don't think. Anyway, to answer your question, maybe that's not a concern right now. But next year, maybe we'll start seeing different patterns, different habits, different sets being ran for Sar. Maybe for Bub, maybe the expectations change a little bit next season.
Yeah, I think it will. It depends on where we land in the draft. Because again, if you're going to get your franchise player, if we're drafting top 2 or top 3, then you're looking at a franchise player like Tank Lathon, as of yesterday, have us at 3, picking Dylan Harper, and they got 76ers picking Ace Bailey.
So we just moved up because we was at 5 like 2 days ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Which, again, it goes back to that we're going to stay at the bottom. It's just a matter of the ping pong balls. But when you do get your franchise player, then the expectations is that, okay, now we're going to start putting in those good habits, because we probably have gotten rid of most of the vets, and we got the young guys in here, and then we're really going to start building something up. Because again, the reason why we're seeing these bad habits, because there's still some vets here that have to go. But again, when you have, as you mentioned, Jonas Valanciunas, you got even with Brogdon, he seems to be a professional. He hasn't played yet. That's what you expect them, for these guys just to be professionals, present those good habits. And then what I just need Keefe to do, what I would like to see him do, is hold players accountable when they're not presenting the good habits. But again, to your point, maybe that isn't a concern. Maybe we shouldn't even really talk about it, because I guess we'll be contradicting ourselves when we say, well, we're not worried about the wins and losses, but then we're kind of asking hey, well, what about this professionalism? What about that? Like, let's at least look professional. Maybe they're looking at it like, hey, man, the young guys are the ones we concerned about being professional. The veterans, we're not, because eventually we're going to professionally sit their ass out of here anyway. So.
But I think before we go, to end it on this, before we go, I think that's part of the issue, Because I think the point is that you don't want to be so lax on the vets to where the younger guys pick up some of those bad habits. You understand what I'm saying? So I think our argument with Kuz is simple. Just do your fucking job. That's all we asking. Just do what you've been doing. If you do what you've been doing, everything else falls into place. I don't think you have to press as much. I don't think you have to, you don't have to take as many shots. Like, man, just let the young guys eat. Ain't nothing wrong with that, bro. Like, just do what you're supposed to do, and everything else will be fine. But we don't know the extent of this with Keefe, and I think that's really what it boils down to. If we knew Keefe was this hard nosed coach that holds everybody accountable, then you and I wouldn't even be having this conversation. The question even really wouldn't even be asked. But because we don't know, this is why we're having the discussion.
Agreed.
All right, my dude, this wraps up this episode of State of the Wizards. I want to thank you for coming on once again, chopping it up with me. I want to thank the listeners and the subs tuning in as well. Once again, if this is your first time tuning in, please drop us a comment. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on the next episode. Signing off for now. We'll check you guys later.
Peace.
Peace.